Hello, Warriors. Good evening. How you guys doing? This is Vigor Warriors 2, back with another episode of the 1% Club. I'm doing one on Sunday night because I saw a bunch of different video titles and, I see people talking about this. So I really haven't talked about this all that much. So I want to kind of get into this. The title of this one's going to be, this episode, Is semen retention a myth? So I want to talk about that for a second. But thank you for everybody who's been contributing and sending messages in, and also commenting and liking, subscribing. We're getting closer to 450 all the time, so we're getting there. So thank you guys for all that. And I did one on the dangers of semen retention. And I think that I had a great comment from Dex, and I want to shout out to Dex. Dex is talking about how I can try to get more coverage and more people to kind of talk about it. And I see this in a lot of other videos, and I just haven't done that for whatever reason. But adding the word semen to retention, I'm going to start doing that with some of the videos and kind of seeing if that draws more of a population in to kind of see and talk about our issues a little bit and do that. So I had a interesting kind of discussion yesterday, and I went to a party that we had for my kid's birthday, and I was talking to someone about the idea, and they were going through some depression. And as a male, one of the things that we had talked about in our discussion was kind of talking about how you can overcome this depression. He was middle-aged, and he was going through some things, and it was very difficult for him to kind of handle some of this, and he was thinking about going to different types of medications and things. And we know that people talk about mental illness and having those type of things are a problem right now in our society. But it goes back a little bit to this idea that I'm talking about. And I guess I was in that kind of camp for many, many years and not thinking about, well, is semen retention something that's really real? Or is it a myth? And so as we talk about the idea of this, it's really kind of important to know the way society is kind of pushing the idea of retention and lack of retention. And I see this all the time. I saw some kind of video on, having, I guess it's called Nut November or something like that. They're talking about, well, is it, doctors are trying to say how bad it is and things like that. And I just go back to the fact that if you look at logic, and I didn't, for many, many years, it was kind of hard to see that because you trust the people that you see. And so when people put out information, they think, well, just because I put numbers out there, that means those are real. And that if you're on TV or in your internet, then all of a sudden this has to be really real information. And you have to kind of question things. And I guess that's the reason why I came to the conclusion that retention is real. And it's not just a myth. Because, for years I was hearing that you should be losing energy all the time and things like that. Yet if you go back in history, for thousands of years, that was never the case, except in those types of societies that fell apart. You saw a lot of those lascivious type behaviors back then, and it was just kind of one of those things, again, telling people that this is not real, this type of thing you should not be doing. What I'm talking about is retention, going on your journey. But, losing your energy, things like that 4 or 5 times a day or, even a week is something you should be doing all the time. And that's the first time when I started thinking about that. I'm saying there's something wrong with this whole storyline. And it took 47 years for me to actually get to the point of saying, I'm not going to buy it anymore. I'm not buying it. And I think that's what I start seeing when I look at videos and I look at all this. I just kind of, push myself away from even bothering with those people because, and then I'll do one on prostrate and, all these type of, things that they say are problems when it comes to it. But I was talking to this person, I kept thinking to myself, part of part of the issue is that when people are depressed, they, and males especially, they have low testosterone. And part of that is obviously if you're losing energy, and a lot of men don't think there's anything wrong with it, well, you're going to have a lot more problems. I just know that from my experience, and I'm not going to quote anything else except for the fact that my experiences. And my experiences is that when I lost energy, I had problems focusing. I had problems with depression. I had problems with anxiety, worry. I had problems with social interactions. I didn't have the confidence level to go up and talk to people and say how I actually felt about things. And I had a lot of, trouble, having energy to trying to get things done, accomplish things, right? My brain was consumed with all this other stuff that was really just for the purpose of losing energy. And it's just really kind of a self-destructive pattern we get into. But it's encouraged by all these people that want to make money or that want to go ahead and kind of go on this idea of sex that sells and all these other things that go around that type of thing. All you gotta do is look at the medical industry when it comes to Viagra and all these other types of things that they've done over the years, and talking about how you're trying to enhance people in having more sex. Well, I guess I finally decided, I said, well, what is that really necessary? Except for the fact when you're trying to procreate, do you really need to release your energy? Now, obviously, having intercourse with the people you love and things like that is not the issue we're talking about. We're talking about the issue of actually losing energy. And obviously, there's a strong connection with both of those, because it's not that easy to go ahead and have intercourse with someone and not lose energy. But the thing is that are you losing energy on a daily basis, right? Are those things that you're losing? And so when we talk about whether or not this is a myth or not, I'm at 779 days at this point. And in my mind, it is more real than it's ever been. And so all these type of stories that I heard, listening to doctors, listening to all these type of things, telling me how bad this was, to refrain from all this. Well, the idea is that I don't see how logically it can be that bad if you focus on achieving your goals, using this energy to accomplish things, and not just throwing it away. It makes no absolute sense to me, as I'm doing this now and all the benefits that I've seen, that this is not a real thing. And I think certainly that the myth is out there to try to stop you from being a strong male, I believe. I see this in a lot of my talks with young males, young females, and how that it's really decimated a lot of the male population. This whole thing of looking at porn, this whole thing of looking at all these images and looking at women in a certain way, men in a certain way, and all of a sudden now you're losing that male essence that you need, that masculine energy. And females want that, and males want feminine energy. There's just no doubt about that anymore, in my mind at least. And so, as I look at this question, when you look at this question, the fundamental issue you have to look at is the fact that if society thinks a certain way, right, but society has not always thought this way, what's the really reason behind it? All you have to do is look at people when they release energy. Look at the fact that so many young men in their 20s are having dysfunctional problems from a sexual standpoint. That never used to happen before, right? But it's there because of the fact that they're losing so much energy they can't control themselves any longer. And it's almost like your brain turns to mush, which it does. Doing this over and over again. For what goal? Having a short-term pleasure? That seems like the goal we're talking about here. Now, people also will say, okay, well, this is part of the status thing. A man's not a man unless they go ahead and have many, many, women. Well, that will kill you faster than anything else in the world, especially if you're losing energy. So as we talk this Sunday evening, this is actually, I don't know, put the date on it. I think it's July 24th, 2022. And we're in a relaxing Sunday evening, but I wanted to kind of do one because I see this a lot in the videos and all kinds of stuff talking about, well, is this myth or reality? And when we talk about this whole issue for 40 some odd years, right, I was under the impression that it was a myth, retention. Now, I don't think the word retention was out there back in the 1970s and things like that. But the idea was that celibacy was, I remember that, and we always thought those were people were strange. But it's society, the way they look at things. And we have to realize now, and I think we're starting to see that with a lot of stuff out there, that we're really talking about a matrix that is not real. We've been given a bill of goods, and it's time to change all that. And I think we see that in a lot of aspects of life, but especially when it comes to the retention part, that we're seeing that all this nonsense that people are talking about, the scientific evidence and everything, may not be true. May not be true at all, especially for you. And the idea is that you need to go ahead and kind of look at yourself and say, what is it instinctively that feels good to you, right? And in my case, starting this journey that I've had, and I did lose my monk mode, but I got it back, I think it's at 14, 15 days now. But the idea is that if you go ahead and look at your goals and you concentrate on those things, and we'll talk about this in another video called, I see one by Artistic Motivation, did a good one on cues, and I saw that one. It was excellent, actually excellent. Very good channel to look at, Artistic Motivation, by the way. And I would say that getting away from those cues when you see something, like I think even an example of when you've got a problem with eating, and all of a sudden, or you see a handle to a door or something, it triggers a cue that you have to stop. The same thing with images and things like that. I always talk about the birds flying over the head, right? But you don't let them nest in your head. And that's really what the problem is. A lot of us let them nest in the head thinking there's no problem at all. And you see, you see this a lot, right? They're thinking that, okay, I can look at this image or that image. But now you're heading down the road, not only of making your brain mush, the way I call it, but now you're heading into relapse. So you have to stop it right away. That's why we talk about the Bible a lot. We talk about how the practicality of all the 10 Commandments, right? Do not allow any thought to even enter your mind when it comes to adultery. I mean, it's very simple. Now, have I done that? No, 1,000 times, right? And I've sinned 1,000 times over, way over. And God, Lord Jesus Christ knows that. So all I can really do at this point is, say that I apologize and I'm sorry to God because those thoughts come in. Now, sometimes those thoughts enter your brain, and sometimes you consciously think about those. And so what you got to do is have those cues saying, if this is coming in, stopping it. But getting back to the original question, as we end this one, the focus really is saying, is retention a myth? And it is not. After 779 days, I can basically say, in my opinion, that retention is very real, and that we all, besides the 1% Club, should all be doing it in order to make us more real masculine men, which is what we need in society now. We need more people who are strong males. And the only way you become strong is learn self-discipline. And self-discipline starts with retention. And retention is the key. If you can do that, you can go ahead and do a lot of other types of behaviors as well. And those all transfer, whether it's addiction to drugs, pornography, alcohol, food, smoking, whatever it might be. We had a discussion last night about smoking, and it all goes back to the vaping and all this. The same strategy. It's all a habit, and you can control that habit, but you got to have that inner fortitude. And sometimes it takes time. In my case, it took me 40 years to build that. A lot of you younger guys out there, and some younger women, you can learn that earlier. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing these messages, to kind of send those out, to get you guys to think about this at an earlier age, so you don't have to wait 40 some years to do that. So, all right, my friends. Well, I'm going to have a couple of ones probably tomorrow. We'll do one on some benefits, artistic motivation. Did another good one on that one, so I like listening to that broadcast. So, and I'll probably put a link to it, at least try to list it down below, in the description. So, all right, guys. Anyway, Dex, thank you very much for your comment. I appreciate that. I will put those in the titles, and hopefully more people will take a view with it, and I appreciate that. Guys, this is Sunday evening. I'm going to go and pray and meditate a little bit and get into the Bible. And I hope you guys have a great evening, and we'll talk really soon. I have another week off before school starts pretty soon. And so I'm kind of just working around the house, so I'm able to do a little more videos and kind of catch up with some ideas. So please send me some ideas and ideas you want me to talk about, and we'll kind of go from there. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your evening. God bless you guys, and battle on, and we'll talk soon.